am Grainne. I am a compulsive eater, and I weigh and measure 3 meals a day from the Gray Sheet. Turn those meals over to a qualified Gray Sheet food sponsor. I don't eat no matter what. I put my abstinence first, one day at a time. And my abstinence date is September 16th, 1994. And I was coming on here today reluctantly because I'm so sleepy. I would love to take a nap. But I committed to somebody that I would be here, and she's not here. And so I said to myself, I'm just going to go and I'm just going to sit and listen. I'm not even going to raise my hand and share. And then Steph said, would you qualify? So it's the exact opposite of what I planned. Um, and I was thinking recently that, people often say to me, I moved back to Ireland 2 years ago from after 40 years in the States. And so the only people I really knew here were my family, and I've had to build a community here for myself. And I feel very invested or very responsible for being open about being a food addict who has been abstinent for 30 something years. It's my responsibility to carry the message. And it's so ironic. My best friend, we went to elementary school together, and then we went to college together, and then we went to graduate school in the States together. And she moved back here many years ago, and she was the psychologist for the bariatric unit in the government health service here. And so she knows tons of people who could use this program, tons of them. So I'm constantly, I'm coming out to people all the time. And people are always saying, but you don't look like you have a food problem. You don't look like you have a weight problem. Really? And I always feel like I have to convince them that I needed this program. And then when I talk to them, I can't really articulate what I've been thinking. But I feel what I want to say is so then when I tell them about the program, they always say, oh my God, I could never do that. And I always want to say, if I can do it, anybody can do it. And if I can be abstinent for this length of time, anybody can be abstinent for this length of time. And Ireland is now a very secular country, so a lot of people are not thrilled about the 12-step program being based on finding a higher power. I just came from my in-person AA meeting here, and they never mention higher power. They never mention higher power in the whole, any meeting. I never hear any reference to it. So it's just an example of that. So I always feel like saying, if me, an atheist, vegan, a person who thought she knew everything, could figure everything out for herself, was smarter than, anybody. If I can surrender to this program and stay abstinent one day at a time, anybody can. So I think for me, the key is the gift of desperation. And it seems to me that no matter how hard, no matter how spiritual you are, or no matter how physically you suffer in the food, or no matter how hard you work this, if you aren't desperate, that is like the magic thing that makes all the difference. And I remember that moment when I was driving to an OA meeting in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and it was in 1993 in October, and I remember thinking, this is a complete waste of time. I'm never going to get it. I'm never going to, it's hopeless. I finally felt like it's hopeless. Nothing I can do will make any difference. And so as I walked down the stairs of the basement of the Alano Club to this last OA meeting, because what is the point of wasting an hour every day at these stupid meetings if nothing is making any difference? I remember thinking, the rest of my life, it wasn't even a thought, it was a feeling. The rest of my miserable life is going to be me getting fatter and fatter and fatter and less functional and it's me just drowning in the misery of this disease. And it was an absolute certainty. It was like a black pit opening up in front of me, and I was just falling into it, and there was nothing I could do about it. And so that was like step one. I'm doomed. I am doomed. I can kill myself and it'll be fast, or I can just go on and it'll be slow, but I'm doomed. I'm done. And step two was sitting at that table in that basement with 5 or 6 other women, only one of whom was normal body size, and she said the gray sheet mantra. And I thought, oh my God. What? 3 years? Weighing and measuring without exception? Nothing in between? Oh my God. There's a solution. Like that was step two. That was, oh my God. There is a solution. And I knew immediately I was going to elbow my way past the crowds of other desperate compulsive eaters to get to her and do whatever she told me to do. And that was step three. I was like, I don't care. She can tell me to walk on my knees over broken glass and stand on my head in the middle of the freeway. Whatever. I don't care. I want what that woman has. Because she was normal body size. She had the gray sheet glow. And the gray sheet glow was even more than a glow. It was a sense of serenity. There was a complete absence of the sense of torture that I felt with the food. And I didn't have to elbow my way through the crowds. My memory, I don't know what her memory is, but my memory is the other women slunk up the stairs at the end of the meeting. Like, don't bring that thing close to me because I don't really want it. I'm out of here. So it was just her and me in the basement when she went over that gray sheet with me. And I've told this story. I mean, anybody who's heard my story has heard this before. I can't help but tell this because to me it's like 1, 2, 3 right there. But if I had not been that desperate, I would not have asked for help. I would not have been willing to take. She could have glowed away in that room all morning if she'd wanted to. If I thought that I had a glimmer of hope of figuring it out on my own, I wouldn't have asked her. I would have been one of those women who went up the stairs saying, well, tomorrow will be different. I'll try something else. I'll try harder. And it was only because I was defeated. And nobody can give you that. Nobody can. I don't know why I was defeated that day. I wasn't my fattest. And I just was so tired of fighting the food and failing every day. Fight, fail, fight, fail, fight, fail. Every day for 30 years. So I've said before, I am vegan. So there was a little vegan voice over here and there was a little gray sheet voice over here. And while she was explaining the gray sheet, and I'm looking for vegan, you got to eat carbs. You got to eat all the complex carbs. And the little vegan voice was saying, tell her you're vegan and you have to eat blah, 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 blah. And then the little voice over here was just saying, shut up and do whatever she says. But tell her you've got to have shut up and do what she says. And as I remember it, I didn't say a word. I don't remember asking any questions. I just remember watching her crossing out 2 pieces and writing in 4 ounces and crossing out 3-inch diameter or whatever it says. And I still have that gray sheet with her Kalamazoo phone number on it. Then she said, this is the real point of desperation, people. Giving up vegan carbohydrates was nothing compared to when she said, now call me at 6 a.m. and commit your next 3 meals. I was like, what? My alarm doesn't even have 6 on it. Are you kidding? Like, I've never gotten up that early in my life. So for, I guess, probably the next year or so, I would write my food down the night before, set the alarm. The alarm would go off. I'd call her, commit my food, and go back to bed. There's no way I was getting up at 6 a.m. May have been desperate. I wasn't that desperate, but I committed my food as directed. So anyway, I was granted the gift of desperation. And so then she said, go to AA meetings to support your abstinence because we don't have a gray sheet meetings. And this was a long time before Zoom. It was before phone bridge meetings. And so I started going to AA, and that's where I really got to understand the 12 steps and where I had to really put in the effort to find my higher power, since I'm an atheist and I don't believe there is a personal higher power. So I had to put in a lot of work to figure out what my higher power was, which has changed over the years. But what I heard in these rooms was just weigh and measure the next meal. Everything else will be figured out if you can stay abstinent. Nothing will be figured out if you don't stay abstinent. Everything else will be figured out if you do stay abstinent. I didn't completely. I did have 2 more day ones, and they convinced me that this is a mental illness for me. I'm certain, I have no doubt that I'm allergic to sugars, grains, and carbohydrates. I have no doubt that probably 90% of the population is. But what I really have is an obsession with food and eating and weight control. And so that my 2 day ones, my 2 relapses were deciding that my getting to statistics class on time was more important than finishing my meal in one sitting. So I divided up I ate part of my lunch and set aside the protein. And I always say, I might as well not, thank you, Karen. I might as well not have gone to stats class because all I could think about throughout the class was my protein waiting for me back home. And knowing that I had broken my abstinence, therefore I either needed to fess up and start again or live in a lie. And that's when the obsession, like I was obsessed with the protein, but I was also obsessed with trying to manage my own relationship to food. So I really hadn't taken taken step 1. I still thought that I had the power of choice, but I don't, because I was tortured until, and I don't remember which episode it was that I went to we had a meeting the next day, that woman and myself. We were just the only 2 GreySheeters there. You know, after she carried the message to me, thank you, Karen. I'll finish on this. After she carried the message to me, she started a gray sheet meeting, which most of the time was just the two of us. So I went to the meeting the next day and went through the whole meeting. Should I, shouldn't I? Will I, won't I? Will I tell her or not tell her? Can I live with this or not live with this? And at the end of the meeting, when we hugged, I told her, and she said, day one. And the sense of relief, whew, I don't have to manage my food for myself anymore. That's what Gray Sheet is for me. You guys just tell me what to do and I'll do it. That is the greatest freedom I've ever had. And really will finish now. It frees me up to live the life beyond my wildest dreams. Were I still trapped in trying to manage my own relationship with food, I would not be here in Ireland now with a mended relationship with my family, being of maximum usefulness to my family. Thanks.